everybody, welcome to Crafting and Crime Daily. I hope you guys are enjoying the Christmas premieres. This is for my little setup here. Tonight, we're going to be doing some watercolor painting. Yes, I am a diamond painter. My name is Rebecca, and I host the Crafting and Crime Daily channel where I sponsor events. I do diamond painting, Lego building sets, non-Lego building sets. Watercolor painting, I do turn my watercolor art into diamond paintings, which I do sell in my store. I have one signed artist who does digital art, Mickey Sunshine Creations. She is amazing. It's not AI, it is digital art, which is like layering, and it's kind of complicated. So I'll let her do that. But if you're new to my channel, welcome. I am so glad to meet you. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that thumbs up button. I would really appreciate. Helps YouTube know that hey, we're all watching Rebecca today. And I hope you're doing something this Christmas Eve. You gotta look, if you're by yourself, make yourself a cup of iced coffee, put a little, zhuzh in it, and sit back and enjoy. Get your diamond painting out, whatever it is you're working on. I also crochet. I'm like the jack of all trades, master of none. Today I'm going to watercolor for you, and we're going to do some watercolor art, and I'm going to tell you about the history of Christmas. And if you thought it was about Christ, you would be wrong. It did not originate that way. So let's talk about that. Let's get right into the show. Today I'm going to be using a couple of really interesting brushes that I got from, well, not interesting in color, but these are professional watercolor brushes. I got these for Black Friday, and they are hot pink. A 10 round, a 3 round. We're going to use those today. I want to make a Christmas tree, maybe some ornaments. We'll see. And then I've added some brushes that I already had in my collection. The thing that I liked about these brushes, they were really holding the pigment. Wow. And they also are absorbing the pigment. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Hot pink, number one. And look at the snap on these things. Like, boop, boop. It's really nice. Versus a color, a different brush. These are all professional brushes. This doesn't have like the whole, it's kind of a bendy. It doesn't have the snap that the other ones have. So we're going to try those out today. I've got my watercolor palette, my paint stuff here. I'm going to transition over here while we talk about the history of Christmas. I hope you guys can see now. There we go. So we got some different pads of paper here. We could draw a few Christmas ornaments here. How do we want to do this? Let's do it this way, shall we? Because I kind of suck at drawing a perfect circle. So that's how I do it. Then I'm going to make them a different size here. So after the birth of Christ, it was not until about 125 years later that someone said, we probably should celebrate the birth of Christ, in the manger. Although the birth of Christ is actually probably didn't happen on December 25th. So why are we celebrating Christmas on December 25th? That is a great question. Because there was already a celebration in December. It ran from December 19th through December 24th and culminated on the 25th. And what would happen? People were celebrating midwinter, and we all know winter is the shortest days of the year. We only have the sun for maybe, if we're lucky, 8-9 hours, 10 hours a day, and then the rest of the day you're in darkness. And back then, they didn't have diamond paintings or I think they had embroidery, but they didn't have the crochet and the Legos and stuff, and heat to keep them warm while they're doing these activities. So what were they doing? They decided from December 19th through the 24th, we're going to have a little celebration. We're going to celebrate the sun. The Romans called it Saturnalia. So it wasn't until about 320 after the birth of Christ that there was a pope that said, we're going to celebrate the birth of Christ, and we're going to call it Christmas. And then 5 years later, like, it took a long time for these church leaders to get together and, get their act together and decide, when are we going to do this? They decided December 25th, the end of that celebration. And the reason they did it was they had to have something to counteract this celebration. And I'll tell you about the celebration soon because it's wild. So what were they going to do? They decided, I think I'm going to do wet on wet for these. Let's just play around. We're going to do a little water here first. We're going to go around the circle, get it wet. The church leaders knew, and we know today, that, Jesus was probably not born on December 25th. Like, in fact, it's probably highly unlikely. And we know this because there are references in the Bible to the shepherds and, watching their flock by night and blah, blah, blah. Well, I always get quiet when it's like concentrating. And shepherds aren't out in the middle of the dead of winter tending their flocks. I can guarantee you that. I just want to go light to dark on this. Really, I want to get a pretty color here. And then we'll darken it up as we go. So what were the people? They were celebrating the return of the sun. And the reasons the church leaders didn't like this celebration, it was just full. The whole idea behind this celebration was sin. They would be out in the streets rioting. People would get together. They were gambling and drinking. There were actors that would go from door to door, and they were putting on plays, and they were, it was kind of a wild, wild time. They were drinking. They were gambling. They would seek out the elite and then go to their homes and demand, like banging on the doors and windows. And this went on for hundreds of years. Banging on the doors and windows. I think I want to use a different brush than that. Let's put a different brush here. Let's go with this. No, let's go with this one. And if you didn't let them in, they would break in. There were even some households where everything would just be switched entirely. For one day of the year, the elite would have to wait on the staff, and the staff got to rule the elite, and they would pick a leader through a cake, and they would put a fava bean in the cake, and whoever found whatever slave or not servant found the fava bean, they were king for the day or queen for the day, and they get to rule everybody else. And so this was just this crazy celebration, and the Christians hated this celebration. At least they said they did. I'm sure that what happened was they would put holly in their homes thinking, okay, we'll be protected from this, celebration. But what actually would happen is they would put the holly in their windows, and then they would go out and participate in the debauchery that was going on. Crazy, right? I always get quiet when I paint. I'm so sorry. That's just me. This is an interesting color. I'm not sure what it is. I have to look it up. What do they call this color? Emerald. So pretty, isn't it? Really pretty. So we need to just get that wet. This is actually probably too small for the space that I'm using. This is for fine details. Let's get a bigger brush. I have like a large brush and a small brush, but that's okay. We're going to make it work. So in 1649, the British monarchy, British monarchy changed Christmas. I'm going to tell you right now. They changed Christmas. Oliver Cromwell, he took over as regent and the monarchy, and he was a Puritan, and the Puritans did not celebrate Christmas. And I would say, I use the term celebration lightly, because the Christians, it was just a church service. You know, you would go, it was a day of reflection. You weren't supposed to take off from work or anything. You would go to work as usual. You'd go to church. Yeah. So it wasn't really a celebration for the Christians. It was an observance of Christ's birthday. Time for reflection, time for family. So the Puritans, they didn't believe in Christ. So they didn't believe in celebrating like that. So Christmas was outlawed. So this went on for about 12 years. And then Charles took over the throne, and people on the premise, like, hey, I'll bring back Christmas. Because if you got caught celebrating Christmas, you were in trouble under that monarchy. So Charles takes the throne and he brings Christmas back. Then we fast forward to Victoria, the Victorian age. Queen Victoria, she married Prince Albert. Prince Albert was German, and in Germany, by 1840, when Victoria married Albert, Germany was like full-fledged Christmas. They were like all about they had taken it beyond the church service into the home. It was all about, you know, Christmas trees and decor. And when she married Albert, Albert brought all those traditions to Britain. And then in 1848, that looks a little dark, doesn't it? We need to lighten that up a little bit, I think. Let's just take up some of that paint. It's very dark. It dries a little lighter, so it'll be okay. There we go. So that's one ornament. I don't know what color will make the other one. We're going to let it dry a little bit so we're not overlapping colors on that one. And then we'll start the tree. So one of the things they brought to the Victorian age was the Christmas tree. They decided that, and the origin of the Christmas tree is kind of strange. Christmas tree, you know, they were evergreen trees, and during this long winter, the evergreen trees were really the only vegetation that would actually live through this entire winter and remain green and fresh, and they thought these trees represented life. You know, so they would cut them down, and people started bringing these things into their home. But the first Christmas trees that were brought in weren't, you know, in little things on the floor that you put water in. They were hung from the ceiling. Can you imagine? We could do an upside down tree. What do you think that might look like? Oh my gosh. We need an evergreen kind of color, don't we, for the tree. Let's do this. This is Viridian. We might have to mix up some color here. We'll see. Oh, some of these are dry. I haven't painted in a while. Or used these colors, I should say. There we go. I have a few different palettes that I use, different color palettes. Oh, that just doesn't want to come out. It is being stubborn. Okay, there we go. We got the dried stuff off. There we go. Come on, green. It's not cooperating. All right. So these trees, they were a symbol of life. They weren't decorated. They were just brought in, hung upside down from the ceiling. Had to be really, really heavy. But then Martin Luther comes along and he's taking a walk one night and he says, you know, he could see the stars up in the sky twinkling through the evergreen trees. And he thought, wow, that's beautiful. All that light in the tree. And I don't know what I want to do here. I'm just kind of playing around. He saw the light in the tree, and so he decides, he goes back to his house, and he decides, we're going to put candles in the tree. What a great idea, right? We're going to put candles in the tree? Excuse me? Oh my God. We're going to do a little Christmas tree here. So he attached the candle holder to the branch of the tree, and then he put candles in it. Can you just imagine the fire hazard that must have been? So obviously, you know, then they started putting them on the ground. Probably after the first few fires, they started putting them on the ground, and but then there were people that were going out and just like cutting down trees, lots and lots of trees. And they were like, wait a minute, we're going to lose the entire forest because all these people they're cutting down the trees. And so this one guy, he went out, he took a really big sleigh. He goes out and he decides he's going to load up that sleigh with trees. He brings it back, sets it up in New York on an empty vacant lot, a vacant lot, starts selling the trees. Now, guess what we do every year? So that caught on big time. We're going to go buy our tree from vacant lots. God, they don't remember that. Do they still do that? I'm trying to think. The last time I saw trees on a vacant lot, 80% of households now have artificial trees. We don't even go for the real thing anymore, because the needles get everywhere. It's just a mess. So we use artificial. Then when Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, then we started getting strands of lights into the Christmas trees. I'm not going to put strands of lights here, I don't think. Let's get a darker color and play around with it. We're just going to see what we can do here. Wow, this paint dries quickly. Woo. Okay. This is probably the wrong color, but I don't care. It's my tree, right? You can do any color you want. So the clergy caught on to the tree thing. They would bring trees into the churches and set them all up all over the church. And the first decorations were apples. The clergy would use these trees to educate the children. And they would put apples on the tree and teach them about Adam and Eve. The sins of Adam and Eve, yeah. Yeah, let's scare the kids to death with the Christmas tree, shall we? Oh my gosh. Then the Christmas tree wasn't a large part of Christmas until 1848, when Albert, because Germans were using them, but nobody else was. So Albert, who was German, marries Queen Victoria. They start to have their 9 kids that they ultimately have. I think by 1848 they had 6 of their 9 kids already, and they put out this Christmas image. It wasn't a photograph because I don't think they had photographs back then, but it was an image of her and him and all around the Christmas tree celebrating. Well, this gets over to the US, goes all over Britain, and it catches on like wildfire. Now everybody wants a Christmas tree in their home like Queen Victoria. So this is how we ended up with Christmas trees. And then they, started putting the decorations on them. The initial decorations were candles, then eventually the electric lights. In the U.S., there was a company named Woolworth once upon a time in the early 1900s. Their sale of Christmas ornaments, even early on in history, was astronomical. The first ornaments were blown glass. They actually would have balls and they would blow glass, and they would put different other items in there, homemade ornaments, mostly homemade at this point in time. So then after World War II, when we decided we were manufacturing all this plastic, that they went with plastic ornaments. I want to put another color in too. Should I put another color in here? Nah. We'll just put some decorations on the tree. But it's a cool, I'm combining blue and green. Why not, right? Who cares? It's just a pretty tree. So that's how we got the Christmas tree. Then candy canes. When did they come about? Well, there was a choir master. He had a children's choir. He had all these kids in the children's choir. And of course, after they did their little performance and they had to sit in church, and all the carols at this point in time, all the Christmas songs were in Latin. And these kids, they would get up and they would sing, and then they would sit in their chairs and fidget and misbehave. So he was like, how can I keep them quiet during the rest of the church service? So he goes to this candy maker, and they decide upon these white candy canes. They weren't canes then, they were just white sticks. So he brings those back to the church, and the kids loved them. And not only did it keep them quiet for the rest of the service, but they enjoyed them. They loved them. It lasted a long time. It really did. But what he did was he actually took the stick and he bent it so it would have a hook. Now, why he did that, I don't know. I'm sure there was a reason. But eventually, they didn't have the red and white on them right away. Eventually, they did, because what happened was they initially added the red to represent the Holy Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. They have 3 strips of white into the candy cane. That's what it meant initially. So what other colors should we put here? Maybe, I don't know, maybe a little yellow here and there for the lights, right? Let's see what we could do with the yellow. I know I'm talking to myself, because I'm not live. It's not live. I think we're just, we need to put white. No, it's already got white. We don't need to do white. We're just going to put some yellow here and there, right? Why not? And I could probably, sprinkle it in there, but we're talking, right? We're chit-chatting. So that was the candy cane. So it just blows my mind that for all of those years, Christmas was basically like, when all this debauchery was going on, the clergy just closed their doors. if Christmas happened to fall on a Sunday, they shut the doors for years and years and years. Like I said, it initially was outlawed in the U.S., but it finally did make its way over here from Britain, in the mid 1800s, and then we all started celebrating Christmas. Now, there are different nationalities, different cultures in the world, and they all have their different ways of celebrating. But that's the U.S. way. Oh, back to the tree. So they would go out and they would cut down these trees. I'm sorry, my notes are not in front of me because I'm painting. They would cut down these trees, and they thought, wow, we're going to lose the entire forest because people were having like multiple trees. Let's put up 2 trees, 3 trees, So they finally had to put a limitation on how many trees you could have in your home. How funny is that? So that's when it ended up being 1 tree, right? Just 1, folks. Just 1. Isn't that pretty? Let's see what we can do with this sparkly stuff. I don't know. I think we're going to go back to the ornament. I'm going to put the tree aside. Let's go back to the ornament here. Sales of Christmas ornaments in the 1900s was like $25 million just for one vendor. That would be Woolworths. Well, do you guys remember Woolworths? They were around when I was growing up. The drugstore. I think they were more of a drugstore and a counter store. Like you could go in and you could get a root beer float. And remember Woolworths? And they had all the good stuff in there. What am I doing with this? We want another color. Let's go with yellow since we got the yellow out, right? We're gonna go with yellow. Her name is Yellow. Okay. So one of the stories that I ran into about the stockings, there was this man who he had 3 girls. He was a widow, couldn't afford their dowries. So he had arranged to sell one of the girls into slavery so that he could take that money and use it for the dowries of the other girls, his other 2. He was going to sell the oldest girl, and then he was going to use the money for the dowries of the other 2. And he had it all arranged, and he couldn't go through with it. He was like, no, I can't do this to them. I can't. So he didn't do it, but it got known by some people, some clergy. And who was it? It was somebody famous. It got, let me see who it was. It was a priest. I don't know the name of the priest. It was a priest that got wind of it. I got a little blue into the yellow, but I like it. You can't really tell. I need to wash my water out, but that's okay. So he gets cold feet. He doesn't go through with it. I need a red. We need a red for Christmas. So they put up their stockings, every night because that's what they do. And I just put that in the wrong place. You're so silly, Rebecca. I don't think that's the right color anyway. Crimson. I don't know if this is the one we wanted. I kind of wanted the crimson red. So maybe we'll combine those. Let's put this where it belongs. Here. Over here. There we go. This is more of a pinkish. Oh, we could go with it. I love pink. We're going to go with it. I'm not going to get red out. We're going to pink. It's not really a Christmas color, but who cares, right? All right, we're going to go with pink. Ooh, I loaded this brush up with water, didn't I? So anyway, they go to bed for Christmas. They wake up the next morning, and the older girl, she looks in her stocking. She's going, they go to put on their stockings. The older girl says there was something in her stocking. There was a lump of gold in her stocking. And it ended up being enough money to pay for the second daughter's dowry. And after the second daughter got married, or the first daughter, it was enough to pay for her dowry. So after she gets married, same thing happens one Christmas. There's a lump of gold in her stocking, not coal, gold. And that was enough for her to have a dowry. And then it happened to the third one. There's another thing of gold, and she had the dowry. I just want to lift some of this paint. Excuse me. Whew. I need a highlighted area here. And I forgot to leave one, so we're going to make one. Like that. Give it a little depth. There we go. So that's our ornaments, but we can do some stuff on top. Let's do some of that pretty color. Maybe we can do that in between there. I need some fresh water. Be right back. All right, I've got this gold chip as well, so let's see if we can maybe activate that. We can put some white on this one and some gold on the other one, or gold on that one and white on that one. I don't know, we'll see. Let's see how we want to do it. These brushes really hold the pigment. They really do. Wow. Let's get that wet, activated. Come on. So if you were, it wasn't until like the late mid 1800s that Christmas actually came to Europe and the New World as this day of reflection and of Christ, the birth of Christ. It didn't originate that way. It really didn't. I loaded up a big brush with this. Why did I do that? Oh well, we'll just play with it. We're just gonna kind of use the tip. Oh, I don't like that, but it is spreading. Let's see. Let's see if we can get rid of some of the water. Oh, well, you know what? Let's just paint it on here. Let's just dry the brush out. And it'll give it a glitter there like that. So hopefully when that dries, it'll be glittery. We'll see if that actually worked. Let me try the gold now. If we can get the gold to activate. It has like little gold flecks in it. Doesn't want to activate. It wasn't a very large sample. Those are samples. I don't think it's doing anything, to be honest with you. Yeah, I don't like that. We're not using it. That gold is not working. So let's just play around with some shadows here. So if you thought that Christmas was like all about Christ and you're like, oh, I don't celebrate Christmas anymore, it's too commercialized, it's the same as it always is. It's always been a celebration. To me, I'm not big into church. So for me, it's a time to be with my family, to reflect on the year past, the year to come, And I think that's what it is for a lot of people, to be honest. Making this sort of like a little vignette here. Just kind of spread that around. Color. Now I want to put some like little things on the top of it. I wish that gold would activate. That would be nice with the, oh, let me put the yellow into it and see if we can get it to work that way, maybe. Probably not, but we'll try. Oh, it's doing something here. Hold on. Okay. Let's see if we can try it. We just want to do like a little thing on top here. Because they're ornaments, right? We got to put the little gold on the ornament here. And then make like a little thing there. And then we'll do the same thing for this. Oh, I don't need to, it's not dry. I've got to work around this here because it's still wet. So I hope that, you know, your Christmas is not one of debauchery. It's one of reflection. Whether you believe in Christ or not, and that you get to spend it with your family, your friends. Now, the whole gift giving thing, that Saturnalia, the one the Romans celebrated, it involved gift giving. They went to great lengths to give each other gifts back then, but it had nothing to do with Christ. They just, you know, they liked giving gifts. Now we need string. What color should the string be? Probably same color, right? Same color, Rebecca. Let's just make it a string like that. There's our ornaments. We're done. Let's get the tree back out. Do we want to add anything to the tree? We could add those presents that we just talked about, right? Let's add some presents. So where's my pencil? Let's just kind of do a box here. Yeah, we got one present there, and then we'll do like a larger one. Or we could do like a round box, maybe. Does that look like a round box to you? I don't know what that is. But we gotta put bows and stuff on them, right? We need another box. We need one more large box here. One more large box. So we got some trees there. We got some presents. We'll do the presents in that pretty pink. Why not? Some of them, anyway. Gosh, that's too much water, Rebecca. Ooh. Heavy hand. So I hope you all have a very, very good Christmas. And I will see you guys in the new year on a video somewhere. You know, I do videos on Monday nights. I do Legos live, building sets. And then Wednesday nights, I do a whip and chat with Color and Chat with Joanna. We do a whip and chat together, which is so much fun. We just have a good time. We just cut up and diamond paint together on Wednesday nights. And then on Sunday, I have my regular live where I will bring you up to speed on what's going on in the crime community. like This Week in True Crime. I do that every Sunday. And then we look at what everybody's working on. We need a different color. Let's mix these two. Get like an orange here maybe. No, I hate that. I hate it. Oh God, that was terrible. Let's just put a little bit, well, it's okay. It'll work. We'll do that with a round one. I sent somebody a round package this year. I don't think they got it yet. So there's that. Usually when I do my artwork, I will erase these lines before I paint and make them really, really light. So I can still see the lines, but I didn't bring my tool in here that I do that with. This chick who painted this chose some really ugly wrapping paper. Yes, she did. Oh my goodness. All right. We got to put bows on this too. Yeah, of course. My girl Joanna would not send a package out without a bow. Oh no, we're going to do something fancy here. Let's see. Those are some pitiful looking packages, aren't they? Like, what are you doing, Rebecca? Oh my gosh, here we go. We're going to put a bow on this. Too much. Oh, see, that's not dry. Oh well, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. We got a little bow here. Sort of. And then we'll maybe just outline everything. Oh, this is pitiful. You're like, oh my God, I thought you were a watercolor artist. I usually plan my paintings. I'm just kind of doing something on the fly here. There we go. We're just... And truth be told, I'm broke, so these packages are empty. They're purely decorative. Purely decorative. Yep. Oh, what other color? Well, we got the blue here. I don't have all my colors. There's supposed to be 36 colors here. I don't have them all out here, clearly. What do we do on this one? Let's just do like a little decoration. All right, that's terrible, terrible. Oh my gosh, Rebecca. I am playing around and I'm making it worse. There's some ribbon there. Yeah, there we go. All right, guys, have a wonderful Christmas, and make sure you follow along with the playlist. It'll take you right to the next video. And make sure you gave this video a thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. We will go back to the other window. Check out the store. Use the code GIFTS20 if you want to make a purchase, so you get a 20% discount off your purchases. And I will see you in the next video. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.